Hey everyone, Chris Matt coming at you with yet again another figure that I've been itching to review for a while now. But as I say, backlog. But nonetheless, here we are, going over the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Last Night on Earth Bane Build-A-Figure Wave Wonder Woman. And this was a great comic book series, guys. We'll get into it in a moment, but I highly recommend it. We've already gone over the Batman one, so I'll make sure to leave a card up here somewhere so you can click it and check it out after this review. So here we see Princess Diana looking all post-apocalyptic awesomeness, regular McFarlane Toys box look. I do love when they give you the names like Suicide Squad or Last Night on Earth or Dark Knight's Metal up there. Just a nice little tidbit, of course, side window on the back. Awesome shot from the comic book, as well as I'll get a close-up of the figures you need to build this Bane. Coming back around, and as I always say, I love this because it makes it hunting in the wild so much easier. Instead of having to pull every figure off the peg, you can just look on the side. So there, Batman Last Night on Earth. Nothing really here on the bottom. So with that said, is this a cool figure or not? Let's get the Princess Themyscira out and get a closer look at her. And here's Princess Diana out of the packaging. And overall, a very nice, well-sculpted piece. Now, that's not to say when it comes to any type of action figure, you're going to have your ups and downs. Now, as beautiful as this piece may look, there are a couple of downs. But there are some ups too. So why don't we get her off the stand and let's take a closer look. Quick backstory on this particular version of Wonder Woman. Her first appearance was Batman Last Night on Earth #1 from July of 2019. Diana was the Princess of Themyscira until Omega laid waste to Earth. In this timeline, there's no global turmoil due to global warming and an emergency crisis. Superman and Lex Luthor decided to hold a live debate on the virtues of good versus evil, with the loser being impelled by kryptonite. Despite Lex himself being convinced by Superman's arguments and believing he'd lost, humanity sided with Luthor, leading to Superman's death. After the death of Superman, rioters swarmed into the Hall of Justice, and rather than fighting them, Batman allowed him inside, believing they could be reasoned with. The crowd left Batman so badly beaten and mutilated that the world believed him dead. Now, a mysterious entity named Omega later arose in Gotham City and laid waste to most of the planet, acquiring control of the anti-life equation and committing genocide against the Amazonians who Wonder Woman ruled over. She eventually does team up with a clone Bruce Wayne to take down Omega. If you haven't read Last Night on Earth, highly recommend it. It's an interesting take and a really cool 3-part miniseries. Now, for the accessories that this Diana comes with, she does come with a cool looking card. I'm glad that they've gone back to the comic book art instead of other people's action figure photography that just chapped my hide. And I'll also make sure to get a back shot of it so you can check it out at your convenience. Now, for the figure, it's kind of hit or miss. So she first comes with this, I'm going to call this a useless knife. Now, what's cool, the caveat is, even though you can't take the knife out, which makes it useless, it does plug in to her belt. You have to use a little bit of force. See if we can get it in there. Something like that. But it's just stupid that you can't pull it out, as where her sword does. And I like that the weapon accessory comes off. I mean, you kind of get this big gaping hole on the figure, but nonetheless, the sheath looks great. Her sword looks amazing, has that gold tint to it. It does chap my hide that she does not come with her lasso of truth, nor her regular Amazonian shield. So at least you get one good accessory and then one useless one that doesn't do anything. Now, I know McFarlane's been experimenting with cloth cape, and I wish they'd become the status quo because I'm tired of these big, heavy, useless plastic capes that just weigh down a figure. You can't do anything with it. And the other thing that really chaps my hide and irks my gurk is the fact that she comes with only 2 hands. She comes with the open hand for the sword and then the stupid closed fist. So you can't, even if this could open, you couldn't put anything in this hand. So it's just like, well, thanks, that's useless. Or if you had a shield from another Wonder Woman or a lasso of truth, you can't dual wield. It's this or nothing. What were they thinking? Roar! Just, yeah. We'll let it go. We'll let it go. Let's move on and persevere here. Now, for the paint apps, she very much encompasses what the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman looked like. Skin tone looks great. I do have a hard time. I know she shaved her head to be more like a kind of a Mad Max look, but it looks weird because I'm not used to like punk rocker Diana. So yeah, that's one thing you just kind of have to let go, because then it kind of comes down into a ponytail. So to me, it just screams mullet, where she's business in the front, party in the back. No. But her eyes look great. She has those blue eyes that Diana has. Lipstick looks good. Of course, her tiara looks great. And even though it chaps my hide that the cape is not cloth, it looks great. It ripples where it's supposed to. And then, of course, has that battle-damaged post-apocalyptic thing. Suit looks good. Flesh tone matches all around. Bands look great. Love the silver sheen on the bracers. Of course, her skirt, I guess you would call it, looks good. Now, the boots, at a first glance, look beautiful. But whoever thought this was a good idea must have been smoking crack that day. Why would you let the joint here be flesh-colored instead of paint it red? And speaking of joints here, Hasbro's really been killing it with that pinless technology. So it's like, hey, McFarlane, you maybe want to take some notes there, because this is starting to look really ugly. But all around, paint apps look great. Her knee pads look great. They have that nice sheen, battle damage gold. Now, the one thing when it comes to the articulation, though, is yes, you have to warm these figures up, because right out of the box, her joints were really tight. And I'm just getting tired of us as collectors having to, having to warm up our figures and loosen them up. It's just chapping my hide, but it is what it is. But I did notice that on her, as well as the Last Night on Earth Batman that we went over, once you warm them up, their joints are like permanently loose compared to some other McFarlane lines. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. It's frustrating, but nonetheless, even with the party in the back and business in the front, she can still look up relatively well, down, side to side motion, and has some play there. So thankful for that. Arms, even with the cape, you have to kind of work around the cape because it goes down on her shoulder. You can, if you work enough, go 360, but I'm not going to. Arms move there, upper bicep. Thankfully, double jointed elbows. Hands, thankfully the ball joint, even though they are ugly, it's not super noticeable until you really get a deep bend on it. So at least they move and spin. And just like with all the female characters, they go from the solar plex, not the waist. So down about that far, and then because of this hideously heavy plastic cape, you can only get her to go back that far. Side to side motion. Legs do go out relatively well. Kick out about 90 degrees. 90 degrees back. Double jointed knees. No boot swivel, but she does have an upper thigh cut, or a swivel. Thankful for that. Foot goes up. So does the toe. Foot goes up and side to side. So the lack of accessories, especially another open hand, that's where, things like Mafex and whatnot are kicking butt, because they give you a nice plethora. Even NECA at the price point. So I just kind of wish that Hasbro and McFarlane would take a note from that, because we're all tired of these heavy-ass capes. We're tired of seeing these ugly-ass joints. But nonetheless, beautiful piece. I'm glad that I have her in my collection. Now, here is the Batman that we've already gone over. I love this figure. And putting him up against Wonder Woman here, I love the scaling, how Wonder Woman's just a little bit bigger than Bats, just to show that Amazonian strength that Diana has. And I can't wait to go over the rest of the series. But one thing about both these figures, I don't know about the rest of the wave because we still have Omega and Scarecrow to go over, I believe. These two, when you start warming them up and moving around, the joints get loose. Like, Batman could not stand in this standing pose by himself without the use of a base. So that's kind of frustrating, but still, I love that they catch that essence of the comics with Bruce here wearing that straight jacket and then the tassels on the back that are supposed to latch it, looking more like the cape with all the frillies on the back. And then just the added addition of the Joker head in the jar. Just an excellent piece, in my opinion. And just that randomness is what made Last Night on Earth such a great. But what do y'all think? I mean, I'm enjoying them, but whenever, it's kind of like X-Men. Whenever there's X-Men and Wolverine involved, I'm a sucker for it. And whenever there's a really cool Batman comic series that came out, Metal, Last Night on Earth, and they release tangible figures like this, I am down like the clown to pick up these pieces. And since the studio's up and going more, and I've got more toys to do awesome stuff with, we will be flying through the other two figures of this wave to get to that awesome black and white Bane that came with it, even though I've seen the horror stories about the legs, but we shall figure that out together. So what are you guys doing with your Last Night on Earth? Are you posing them? Are you photographing them? Photographing them? Let us know over on our socials. Overall, sculpture-wise, this is a very beautiful piece. It captures that Princess Diana from the comic series, which I highly recommend reading. It was a very entertaining read. However, sadly, this figure suffers from a lot of the McFarlane issues, coming with just one open hand. So even if you have another Wonder Woman in your collection and you want to give her either the lasso of truth or a shield, you just got that closed fist. I hate that more than anything, and I wish that they'd start learning that. All these other high-end figure companies give you all these different plethora of hands, and if you could figure out how to do that at a decent price point, you would be giving them a run for their money. Same thing with these shitty plastic capes. Nobody likes them. We all want that nice fabric pin, just like, not pin, but what's that thing called? Wire, bendy wire, just like Mafex, because it just looks so much more natural, and you're going to have more collectors flocking to that, because then you're able to make this look more dramatic instead of just one big heavy piece of shit hanging on the back of your mind. I know I try not to go there, but God, obnoxious. The other thing is, of course, that the accessory of the knife, it just sits there. It's stupid. Okay, it comes off cool, but give us another thing. Oh, but we can't, because we have to have that closed, obnoxious fist. That aside, beautiful piece, and if you're a huge Justice League fan, this is going to be right up your alley, even though I wish... Okay, Hasbro's doing that pinless pieces, and they're looking great. And it was just like, whoever sculpted this just got lazy, and it's like, hey, the pin at the leg, let's make it flesh tone instead of being part of the boot. Still, if you're going to display this on a shelf, she is going to look beautiful next to these dystopian Earth Batmans and Dark Knight's Death Metal Supermans and stuff like that. Hell yeah. Now, again, I hate that they're like, oh, let's release this one, and then let's release another figure that has the Doctor Fate helmet. I get it, and from wanting to make money, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to go actively seek out that other one. I'd rather try to find the head loose online or something like that, because, yeah, I'm not going to buy another figure like that. It's just madness, I say. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please, first and foremost, support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to get your action figures and comics, and grab this piece if you enjoyed Last Night on Earth. And if you've enjoyed review, I have not had enough coffee. Really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Justice League bell, next subscribe. That way, as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.